Today is Monday, June 30, 2014. It's the 181st day of the year. There are 184 days remaining until the end of 2014. Sunrise today is at 5:10 a.m. The sun will set at 8:38 p.m. Length of daylight hours today is 15 hours, 28 minutes, 14 seconds. That's 37 seconds shorter than yesterday. Tomorrow will be 41 seconds shorter than today. The waxing crescent moon rises at 8:28 a.m. with 9% illumination and sets at 10:20 p.m. The moon passes above downtown Rutland City today at 252,258 miles distant from the center of planet Earth, within the fifth zodiacal designation, Leo, the lion. On this day in 1908, the Tunguska event occurs in remote Siberia. The Tunguska event was a large explosion which occurred near the middle Tunguska River in what is now Krasnoyarsk Krai, Russia, at about 7:14 a.m. on June 30, 1908. The explosion occurred at an altitude of about 3 to 6 miles. Different studies have yielded widely varying estimates of the exploding object's size on the order of 200 feet to 620 feet. It's the largest impact event on or near Earth in recorded history. It's classified as an impact even though the asteroid or comet is believed to have burst in the air rather than hitting the surface. Estimates of the energy from the blast range from as low as 3 to as high as 30 megatons of TNT. Most likely it's between 10 and 15 megatons of TNT, and if so, then the energy of the explosion is about 1,000 times greater than that of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima, Japan on August 6, 1945. Roughly equivalent to that of the United States Castle Bravo ground-based thermonuclear test detonation of March 1, 1954 at Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands, and about 2/5 that of the Soviet Union's later Tsar Bomba, the largest nuclear weapon ever detonated. It's estimated that the Tunguska explosion knocks down some 80 million trees over an area of 830 square miles, and the shockwave from the blast would have measured 5.0 on the Richter scale. An explosion of this magnitude would be capable of destroying a large metropolitan area, but because of the remoteness of the Siberian location, no fatalities were documented. This event helps open discussion of asteroid impact avoidance, which 109 years later, with space rocks of every possible size still hurtling toward us in numbers we can't even imagine, a fat lot of good all that discussion's done for us. 100 years ago, on June 28, 1914, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, heir presumptive to the Austro-Hungarian throne, is killed while riding in an open automobile along a downtown street in Sarajevo along with his wife, the Duchess Sophie, by Bosnian Serb Gavrilo Princip. Franz Ferdinand is heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, 50 years old. His death precipitates the First World War, when the Austro-Hungarian Empire, then the second largest country in Europe, behind the Russian Empire, declares war on Serbia a month later on July 28, 1914, mobilizing the European order, such as it is, for the descent into industrial warfare on a historically unprecedented scale. In the New York Times, Stephen Erlanger writes, "The war destroyed kings, kaisers, czars, and sultans. It demolished empires. It introduced chemical weapons, tanks, and airborne bombing. It brought millions of women into the workforce, hastened their legal right to vote. It gave independence to nations such as Ukraine, Poland, and the Baltic countries, and created new nations in the Middle East with often arbitrary borders. It brought about major cultural changes, including a new understanding of the psychology of war, of shell shock, of post-traumatic stress." Born this day in 1891, Man Mountain Dean, American wrestler in New York City as Frank Simmons Levitt, joins the military in 1916, serving with Brigadier General John J. Pershing along the Mexico-U.S. border, when a 500-man force loyal to Mexican revolutionary leader Francisco Pancho Villa raids Columbus, New Mexico. He's sent to France in World War I. He starts his career in the ring using the name Soldier Levitt. Pro wrestling in the years after the war, not so lucrative, and it isn't until Levitt meets the woman who is to become his wife, Doris Dean, that Levitt's career takes off. He's well over 6 feet tall. No one can reach that high to actually make an accurate measurement, and weighs well more than 300 pounds. She calls him Man Mountain Dean. He grows a long black beard and becomes one of the first wrestlers to emphasize showmanship in the ring. He fights a career total of 6,783 bouts, earning an average $1,500 per. He's the most famous pro wrestler of the early 20th century and retires to his Georgia farm in 1934. Mohandas K. Gandhi, the Mahatma, writes, "What difference does it make to the dead, the orphans, and the homeless, whether the mad destruction is wrought under the name of totalitarianism or in the holy name of liberty or democracy?" From Rutland, Vermont, this is Richard Alcott speaking.